Folks, welcome into another video here at pubsportsradio.com, bringing you the hot topics of the day. We are 3 weeks out, Jeff. Not much going on the field, but obviously the NFL says we must go on, and we will have the draft as a schedule for Thursday, April 23rd, wrapping up Saturday, April 25th. Prime time, a much leaner, meaner draft, Jeff, but there's a lot to go into this. And it is business as usual in the NFL.
Yeah, going to be a nice little reprieve here in April where, really the week leading up, you're going to have a lot to talk about. This is really kind of the escape for us, I think. And obviously after that, then it'll be, okay, when does sports come back? And eventually you'll have, the MLB and then the NBA draft, that kind of thing. But yeah, a lot going on, a lot of names. This is a really talent-rich draft, Donnie. This is one of the more – and look, I study the draft every year. I spend a lot of time on it. This is one of the better drafts as far as overall player rating-wise that I've seen in a while. A lot of really high-level talent. There's going to be guys in even the second round that are first-round talents, even late into the second round. This is a really good draft for a lot of talent.
You know what's funny about this, Jeff? Because now we start to see the mock drafts take center stage because now we're following the month of April. Not much going on. Some ludicrous mock drafts that are certainly rolling around, but also just the interesting parts of when you watch ESPN, Adam Schefter, not sure if they should have the NFL draft. I'm thinking, to be honest with you, Jeff, this might be the best time to have the NFL draft because I don't think teams are going to overlook certain players. All you have to do right now is focus on the draft. You have all the game tape you need. You don't have to bring somebody in who's going to be coached by his agent to say the right things for 20 minutes, and then you end up drafting the guy. You should not. There should be no excuses in this draft from NFL front offices.
Yeah, look, Adam Schefter, I mean, some of the nonsense coming out of his mouth is really appalling, really. I don't know what he thinks is going to happen. Like
80% of the country is working right now, Jeff, out working, making a living, but you can't have teleconference Skype calls to get a draft going. I don't get it.
But my question to him is, when do you do this?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the NFL hasn't been affected by this, really, okay?
Right.
The season doesn't start till September. Mm-hmm. You're already going to lose OTAs. Yep. What point do you want to start this, Adam? Because at the end of the day, you could do all this remotely. You don't need the players there. You don't need the fanfare for 6 hours with a red carpet. No, you don't need none of that stuff. I guess my whole thing with a lot of these reporters, whether it's Windhorst, Schefter, whoever, is stick to what you're fucking good at. You're not doctors. You're not epidemiologists. You're not infectious disease experts. Shut up and talk about what you're asked about. No one's asking about your opinion on what you think should happen. At the end of the day, I'd ask Schefter, when do you want the NFL to do this?
No, you're exactly correct, because when you come in on this show, you're talking hot topics. We're here to give you sports takes. That's what ESPN is for. And if you have your NFL insider guy just throwing wet blankets on stuff, the NFL's not good at just being, all the way out there and saying, no, we're still going to have this. We're going to have hundreds of thousands of people in Las Vegas. It should be cleared up by now. They're the ones being proactive. Look, we don't want to have this big. We're going to condense it. We're still going to have it go on. We're not going to mess with the league year. It's going to be business as usual. And yes, we're trying to start the season on time. Go ahead. Yep.
Don, you have to also look at the fact that they've given their staunch thoughts on what they're doing. They're not shutting anything down. Okay. The season, I saw yesterday, there was a report that's come out that most executives believe the season will be fine. There's not going to be any delay, nothing like that. And again, Donnie, that's how this sport should be. That's how government should be. I see some of these states shutting down till June. Yeah. It's 2 months away from today. I mean, how are you going to – you don't know what the world's going to be like 90, 80, 70 days from now. I mean, that's nonsense, really. I saw Toronto shut down until July 1st. I mean, how do you even know what's going to go on? I think the NFL's done the right thing here. Continue the league. There's no person-to-person contact you need to have. Continue with the league.
Exactly. And if things come up where you can't, then you push the date back. But it's always nice to have contingency plans because, as we know, Jeff, forget about it just being in sports, everyday life, like even when you go to high school or grade school, like as long as you put something out and say, all right, we're going to have this test next week and something comes up, Jeff, what do? They postpone the test till the next week where everybody can make it happen. What's the big deal?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there, as you said, there are contingency plans. You make those. And if you have to enact them, you do. If you decide that, like, if this gets really bad and you decide that you're going to have to push the season back, then, so be it. But you can't live in fear. You can't live in the whole, what if this does happen? Again, Donnie, I can, go outside right now and get shot in the head. I mean, I can't live my life worrying about if that was going to happen. I could prevent it from happening and I'm going to follow the rules. But at the end of the day, we can't. Some of these, the NFL is a huge business. You know that. They can do without fans. They watch it on TV at the end of the day, but you can't shut a league down. But as far as this draft's concerned, Donnie, there's a lot of fun in this thing. There is so much talent. There's so many position rich spots. So many options.
Yeah, we're going to break as this content goes forward, because again, we have 3 weeks to do this. We'll break down each and every group. We'll go over a mock draft for ourselves, who do you think's going to go, but just the generality to kick off, the draft season for us, Jeff. You see the Cincinnati Bengals 1, the Redskins 2, and the Detroit Lions in such an interesting spot at 3. Where do you think the fun begins? Because we've done videos where you're saying, oh, it looks like, the Redskins are going to take Chase Young, and obviously number 1, the Bengals go Joe Burrow. But then you look at that Detroit Lions spot, and there's so many possibilities for either A, the Detroit Lions, or B, trading out, and who trades into that spot. It's kind of fun to talk about because there's going to be a lot of moving parts. And as you already said, this is a talent-rich draft.
Yeah, I think, though, it's interesting, though, because when you're looking at trades, you have to obviously contend and think about who the teams above you are going to take, right? So, obviously, look, for anyone that says the Bengals are going to take Joe Burrow, they need to go to Mars and live there, because I'm sure they can come up with those opinions there with no one else around. But, yeah, look, for the Lions, Donnie, I think that the writing's on the wall. I think you have to keep this pick, and you have to take Okudah. I think if you look at Jeffrey Okudah, I think he's one of the best corners in the last 10 years in the NFL draft.
And you lost Slay. Yeah.
Right. You're right. And I also look at the Giants after them. They're not going to take a quarterback either. So if you're the Dolphins, I don't really think you need to trade, honestly. And if you're going to trade, getting to 3 might not do the job. You've got to go to 2 if you want to take Tua Tagovailoa, if you're that concerned that he's not going to be there. So the fact that people are saying that the Lions might have a tradable player, I'm not necessarily sure I see it. I think if you're the Dolphins or Chargers, you can make the picks you want at the positions you have. The Giants are not going to take a quarterback. I think it's pretty clear at this point that the Redskins are going to take Chase Young. I think this draft shakes out, Donnie, Burrow, Young, Okudah. I think Giants go with an offensive tackle. I've heard Jedrick Wills. There's a lot of connections with Alabama there in New York. I think they go with an offensive tackle. And I think the Dolphins and Chargers both take quarterbacks. I don't think they have to trade out. I think they could stay where they are and get what they want.
Yeah, but and then it's a good point you bring up, because I see it differently there, because I'm thinking the Detroit Lions, you need so much to repair that team as is. Why wouldn't you slide back 2 spots and let the Dolphins take your spot and then pick up like an extra first-round pick? Because you're still going to get – we're not talking about, let's just say, Jeff, trading out of the first round. If you're the Lions and somebody jumps up like, all right, we're going to get completely out of the first round, right, you can legitimately drop down 2 or 3 spots if Tua is still there on the board, pick up an extra first-rounder, and still get a really good player for yourself.
Yeah, and that's definitely possible. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to ever forecast where these are going to be. But I think, I'm one in belief that I think the Lions team is better than a lot of people think. I think they offensively are pretty damn solid. I think if you want to attack the running back position or something like that, you can do that later in the first round or in the second round. I think defensively there is a glaring need for this group at cornerback. They have to go out and address that. And I think for them, you could be true and you could be right where they could go back there. But I think they take Okudah. I think he's the guy. I just feel like for at least the first 6 picks, I think it's going to go pretty normal. But I'm going to tell you, Donnie, right now, one trade I do see, and then I know, I have to wrap this thing up. I am in firm belief that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to trade up. I think they're in agreement at this point. They know they have to trade up to get a Judy or a Ruggs or a CeeDee Lamb. I think Howie Roseman likes the Justin Jeffersons and the T. Higgins and the Riegers, but they're a team that I think is going to be active. I think they're going to find a way to get up into that 12 range. Donnie, if they can get Jerry Jeudy, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not optimistic a lot of time with this team. That might do it for me. Seriously. That's huge if they could do that.
No, you're right, because when you look at Carson Wentz coming into his prime now, Jeff, what do you always try to do with a quarterback? You get him his wingman that you say, you know what, this guy's going to be here for another 10 years with you to play and grow. It certainly makes sense. And also, just real quick, coming from an Eagles perspective, would anybody say if the Eagles traded up and got one of those 2 top wide receivers and it didn't work out, nobody in 2 to 3 years or 5 years is going to say, boy, that was a really dumb move to go up and make that.
And if it doesn't work out, you're just unlucky. I mean, it is what it is. But a lot of people are talking Jefferson at 21. I don't think any of those picks are bad, but I look at what they need to me. And they need a guy that can go out on the outside and go up and catch the football. And Judy and T. Higgins can do that. I'm not saying that I don't want Jefferson, but Jefferson has been very unproven on the outside. It's just that simple. He's a slot receiver. They need a slot receiver too, though, because Deshaun Jackson's injury prone and 33 years old. So they're going to have to do something. It's very tough to screw this up. The only question is, the Eagles have done their fair share of screwing up. Remember, they took Danny Watkins and Marcus Smith and Jerome McDougal, countless other bad picks. So it wouldn't surprise me here, Donnie. And look, let me ask you one other thing with the Eagles. Let's say they don't take a receiver, right? And they take Kenneth Murray or a linebacker like that. Would you be that mad? Because I wouldn't.
No, exactly. The talent is so thick here that if you can't trade up or you tried to trade up, there's no use in saying. What you're probably trying to say here is if you're the wide receiver targets are on the board, just don't drop down another level and say, well, let's just take the next one. Take the best guy on the board. You're going to get a really good football player in this draft.
That's why for me, like if they don't get the guy they want or get the trade they want, I think if I'm the Eagles, I would trade back and get a second-round pick because you don't have any second-round picks. They don't have any second-round picks as far as I know. No, they traded it with the Slay pickup, so they don't have a second-round pick.
Was the Slay a third or a second? Was the Slay a third?
I want to say
a second-round pick. Eagles. Let me just put while we're doing this live right now.
I want to say they don't have a second-round pick as far as I know.
Let's see, 2020 picks. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, and 6. So they do have a second pick.
I think if it's the second pick, it's late. It's not early.
53rd in the draft.
Yeah, 53rd. That's late in the second round. So, if I'm the Eagles, maybe you look to do that, or maybe you look to move back 2 or 3 picks or something. We'll see, but I think it's a receiver. It has to be. And my goal is they move up, get the best player, not the third or fourth.
No, we're going to have a lot of fun, Jeff, breaking this down over the next 3 weeks. So always tune in to pubsportsradio.com, specifically to our Hot Topic segment. We'll keep you focused on the NFL draft and all that more. What's up, man?
Real quick, Pub Sports Radio, I posted my full mock draft, full first round. It's up there. Check it out. I posted it about an hour ago. I got all 32 picks. A lot of juice there.
No, we'll have some fun all the way through. For the big man on campus, Jeff Nadeau, I'm Donnie Seymour. Tune in, pubsportsradio.com, Hot Topics. We'll be back at it tomorrow.